get Rob Rubino in my office and tell him to bring all of his worldly possessions.
Rob Rubino is off getting his LASIK surgery this morning.
When he's finished, then.
When he's done, you will be at couples therapy.
No, Lloyd, no!
Hello and happy Monday, Manic Monday. We are breaking it down this week on Oh Yeah, the Entourage podcast. I am your host, JR Hickey, coming to you from San Francisco, California. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I am currently in Los Angeles, California, getting some podcast stuff done, so be on the lookout for that stuff coming in the near future. Great guest this week to talk about a really fun, kind of lightweight episode of Entourage. In this episode, Ari goes to couples counseling, can't really fire a guy, and Vince and E deal with some Amanda stuff. That's about it, and it's really nice to have a guest like Dillon Cheverere on. Dillon's like the third member of the Circling Back podcast guys that I've had on before, Will DeFries and David Ruff. I go way back with these guys from our days at postgradproblems.com. Dillon's a super chill dude. We had a really easy conversation about the show. This episode moved a little quicker than normal because there wasn't the regular like A, B, C plot with all the like references and dramatic moments that you're kind of used to in an Entourage episode, but it made for some really fun conversation. Thanks to everyone that's been following the social media accounts at Oh Yeah Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Shout out to Jack Signer, who's been helping out with those. He's been making some really cool videos and images for both feeds, so make sure you're following if you haven't yet. Thanks for the 5-star reviews. I won't beg you for 5-star reviews this week, but those are always important. It's worth mentioning, check out brobible.com. They're a sponsor of the podcast. It's where I post an article weekly about the episode that we're doing. All the Entourage written content that I've done exists there. You can go on brobible.com. They've got all sorts of links to different products, articles, and content. It's run by Brandon and a few other guys. Really looking forward to partnering with them in 2020 and taking this podcast to the Hollywood Hills. So without further ado, let's just dive into this week's episode with Dillon Cheverere, Manic Monday. All right, our guest today was one of the founders of TotalFratMove.com. He is the third leg of the Circling Back tripod. He's dialing in from Austin, Texas, and he just had a birthday. Dillon Cheverere, welcome to the Entourage podcast.
What's up, man? How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for joining. I've been looking forward to having the third member of the very popular Circling Back trio on, and it's great to have you. We're talking about a show that I hope you're familiar with.
Yeah. I watched it today. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I guess I can't get too mad at you for scheduling this during Game 6 of the World Series since I had to cancel on you last time, so that's on me. You're off the hook for this one, but I'm happy to do this, man.
I hope you have one eye on the baseball game, because I didn't even think about that because, of course, I'm not in Texas. I don't care about the Astros or the Nationals right now. My Cubs got knocked out. Oh man, sorry about that.
Well, I am in Texas. I'm not a Astros fan, so it's not that big of a deal for me. I'm actually hoping the Astros lose.
Okay.
And, I don't think I'm going to get my wish, but I do have one eye on TV, and I'm focused. I'm ready to do this. We're good.
We're talking about a show that aired 16 years ago, but this, the World Series versus that, this is more important right now. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to make time for you.
Before I dive in, I usually like to ask the guests, what was your relationship with Entourage like? When did you start watching it? Did you watch it all the way through? Did you see the movie?
I think I picked it up a couple seasons in. I did see the movie. I thought the movie was really good. I picked up a couple seasons in, and once I did, I caught up quickly, and I watched everything pretty much live. Really just so much fun watching this show. I think we all kind of daydream a little bit about being Vinny Chase, just living, the movie star lifestyle and having guys around and just, meeting other famous people and going to the Hollywood parties and whatnot. So that, it was just kind of like living vicariously through Vinny Chase, I think, was what was so fun for me about the show. But a lot of fun to watch, and one of my favorite shows, man.
Just the male camaraderie around the show, getting together with your boys on a Sunday night, that's really missing in today's pop culture, TV, streaming service world.
Yeah.
And that's what I've hoped to recapture with this podcast. I hope I've done a good job so far. People seem to enjoy it. So let's dive in. Let's talk about this episode.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Season 3B, Episode 3, Manic Monday.
Manic Monday.
It aired on Sunday, April 22nd, 2007. This is the hardest part of every episode of Oh Yeah, Oh Yeah. I have to find something that happened that week that is like pertinent or interesting to the audience.
What do you have for me today?
Two things happened this week, Dillon. The first is about pop culture, and the second is a like national tragedy that happened. What are you more interested in?
Ooh, let's see. April of 2007? Gosh, let's see. I was 24 years old. Man, I don't know, but I'm more interested in the tragedy, I think. So lay it on me.
I know. I don't like this category to be so negative, but this was the week of the Virginia Tech school shooting. Happened just a few days earlier.
And I think at the time it may still be the case. Like, I think one of the deadliest school shootings of all time, right?
I think it is the deadliest. Undergrad student shot and killed 32 people, wounded 17 others. We thought back then, man, I hope that never happens again, and look at where we are now, unfortunately.
Right off the jump, man.
I know, dude. I don't know. You went for the national tragedy.
I did, right? I asked for it.
All right, the pop culture one is that after Alex Baldwin was out to dinner with his on-again, off-again girlfriend, he excused himself from the table and he had to place a court-mandated phone call to his 11-year-old daughter, Ireland. When she didn't pick up, he blew his top, calling her a rude, thoughtless little pig, chastised her for interrupting his date, and his ex-wife, Kim Basinger, released the tape to the media, to TMZ.com, and he sued her and had to issue a public apology, and his image was never the same. I don't think I necessarily remember that. I just remember that being brought up a lot in the roast of Baldwin.
Yeah, I don't remember that particular incident, but I do know that I do associate him with being a little bit crazy and a little bit hot-tempered. So this is not a surprise to hear.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, quick summary of this week's episode, in case anyone hasn't had a chance to rewatch it before listening. Amanda needs an answer on the period film, but Vince won't commit to any other project until the cameras are actually rolling on Medellin. You know what? A quick side note before I continue the summary. I had a guy call in, not really call in, he left me like a voice memo. He's a Spanish teacher, and he chastised me because I've been mispronouncing Medellin.
I think it's Medellin. Is that correct?
Yes, it's Medellin for Spanish speakers, and then for people from Colombia, it's Medellin, which is even harder from a white guy from Chicago.
Which version did he have?
He said either or was appropriate.
Okay. Well, he schooled you on it. Okay.
Yeah, so apologies to everyone that's been cringing, I guess, as I've been saying. I've just been reading it as it says on the page, but back to the summary. So after the crew falls asleep reading Medellin, it leads Vince to realize that the project isn't right for him after all. Back at Miller Gold, Barbara demands that Ari fire an inept agent, but Ari can't bring himself to lower the axe. Ari's couples therapist thinks that he's feeling emasculated by losing Vince as a client. She eventually helps him reconnect with his inner anger, allowing him to return to work, fire the agent, and reclaim his swagger. Amanda is furious to hear that Vince is officially passing and asks if Ari is responsible for the change of heart. Vince denies it, and Amanda insists that going forward they be completely honest with each other. The new honesty policy is immediately put into effect when Amanda and Vince admit their mutual attraction to each other and hook up at the end of the episode. Dillon, what was your favorite moment from this week's episode of Entourage?
I know most people are going to probably assume I'm going to say when he ends up firing Rob in the the very famous get the fuck out scene that has been gifted a million times on the internet. But it's actually not my favorite. My favorite scene is the closing part of the counseling session.
Oh yeah,
and they're with his wife, and they're talking about their communication problems, and he does one of his perfectly executed Ari diatribes, and just he leaves in style. He leaves in Ari Gold fashion, and it's just a great closing to that scene, I think.
And then, of course, there was the birthday party incident.
Everybody stop. I didn't go to the Lakers game because they were playing the fucking Bobcats. And I came here today because I thought this was a session on how my wife could learn to communicate, how to answer a question without a question. Basic Humanity 101, which I thought, given your wall of fucking diplomas, you could easily fix. Or if you couldn't, you could give her a pill that could either fix it or make her a mute. But now, to turn around and gang up on me, I have work to do. I have hundreds of clients to deal with. And just so we're clear, I don't care about any of them. They're all just a number, like wife number 1 and therapist number 7. Good day.
And that's it, right. Yeah, he just crushes that scene. That's the Ari that I know and love after watching the show. What a character, and that's just so perfectly Ari. I loved it.
The marriage counseling scenes with Ari especially, he just has it's like the perfect audience for him. He's getting ganged up, he's cornered, he's usually stressed about some Vinny Chase related, subject.
If he makes it through an entire counseling session, that's a win for the counselor and for the wife. Because
that's right.
Usually he gets up and storms out and exits kind of in that fashion, and it's just so great.
That's a great scene. I have that maybe for one of my favorite Ari moments. I have two as well. It's kind of like goes without saying, the firing Rob Rubino thing, the get the fuck out. Like you said, it's very diffable. It's very like iconic Ari, but I kind of like the end. I like the very end where, Vince gets the phone call from Amanda. He lies to his boys. We'll talk about that a little bit. He's going to go see the jewelry store girl. She's picking me up. I better go get changed. And then Drama turns to E and the camera and says $50, says he ends up banging her.
I hate sexual tension, Vince. It always leads to confusion.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, good. Then let's get it out of the way.
How?
By fucking each other's brains out and never talking about it again so we can move on to a very successful and professional agent-client relationship. Sound good?
To me it does, yeah.
Great. See you in 20.
Okay.
Who's that?
Jewelry store girl. She's picking me up. I better get changed.
All right, what do you want to do about Amanda?
I'll call her first thing tomorrow. Apologize.
$50, he ends up banging her.
I loved it. It was just like, like Vince is you don't understand. You're friends with an A-list movie star. He's sleeping with girls on levels you're not even there yet figuring out. Like he's 5 steps ahead of you, which I kind of liked.
Yeah, they're boys, they're family, and they know what's going on in each other's lives so well that, of course, Drama just absolutely nails that.
Every week, Dylan, we talked about our favorite bros being bros moments, and not really bro in terms of like the 2019 connotation of bro, but really like just those moments of male camaraderie. Was there a moment in this episode that maybe stuck out to you as being a bros being bros moment?
Yeah, there's a moment when they're discussing the upcoming dinner they have planned with Amanda, and they're in Vinny's house, and Drama and Turl are they're hitting on the golf simulator. And they're just kind of bullshitting, just your typical guy conversation, and just talking about how to handle this attractive woman who's very dominant. Yep. And it's just I can see myself in that exact conversation, and I think most guys probably can who have guy friends that they're close to and hang out with on a weekly basis, and it's just so accurate, and like that the stuff they talk about. We don't all hit off of golf simulators in our homes, of course, but
I was going to ask.
Yeah, the conversation's the same as we have, and I really enjoyed that scene.
Let it go. Judging by the look on his face, not well.
She wants the 3 of us to have dinner. Jesus, you just can't close this broad? If this was Ari, you would have told him no, and you'd be eating a Dodger dog.
Kid's right.
She yelled at me again. What was I supposed to say?
Well, what would you say if Ari yelled at you?
Oh, we tell Ari to fuck off.
True that.
I think they're right. You're soft on her.
Oh, yeah, you were real tough this morning, Vince. You're both pussies, okay? And this is the problem with having a hot-looking agent.
That's the problem with hot-looking women in the workplace in general. They should be barred because no man can say no to that.
You should run for president on that one, Drama.
Can't run on the truth, eh?
It's interesting because last week we did Dog Day Afternoon, and I had Strider Wilson on, and we talked about how there were very clearly like 3 or 4 plots at play in that episode. This episode kind of just has like 2 plots. It's like Ari's melting down, and Vince and E are trying to figure out this script Amanda thing. And Drama and Turtle are just on the sidelines chirping the entire episode. They're just giving their opinion, making fun of E, making fun of Vince, saying that they're getting emasculated, hitting golf balls, swimming in the pool. I mean, it's really, they're like freeloading at the highest degree this episode, which
they
was
had plans to go to the Dodger game, which didn't work out because they had to read the scripts. Oh man,
that sucks.
Yeah.
Could you imagine you're friends with a famous person and you're like, oh, but I'm going to the Dodger game, and he's like, no, you're not, and you just have to like agree with him? Is it just you kind of work for the guy?
Yeah, their problems are so like it's not even like a first world problem joke. It's just like no one has these kind of problems. Their problem is they can't go to the Dodger game, and it's probably like a Wednesday afternoon, right?
Yep.
They're not, they don't have 9 to 5s, obviously. So the problem is they can't go to the Dodger game and drink beers and eat Dodger dogs. The problem is they have to read a fucking movie script with for Vincent Chase, sitting next to Vincent Chase, laying next to the pool. Like that's a bad day for them.
One for you, one for you, and one for you.
This is a long script, E. There's a reason I'm in TV now. No more than 60 pages at a clip.
Maybe we should break it into 4 quarters. Be faster.
Come on, just read it. I like that he's including everyone in the process.
Yo, we gotta process this quickly. We got 4 hours to decide. On it, boss. I'm gonna go back down and read in peace. I'll be back in an hour.
He's strict.
Yeah, well, now you got a strict agent and a strict manager. Enjoy that.
Yeah, but I'm still in charge.
One more dip before we dive in, then?
Definitely.
You know what? It just occurred to me this all probably happened on a Monday because this episode's called Manic Monday.
There you go. This was a
but
Monday.
But you're right in that, like, this is their crazy Monday, and that is not a normal Monday for anyone else. Even guys like me and you who live in this fantasy internet podcasting world.
That's a great Monday for 99% of people out there, including guys like that.
100%. Dillon, what was your least favorite moment from the episode?
Man, I didn't like seeing Ari down. Like I said earlier, I like Ari when he's berating Lloyd and he's unhinged and he's just, going off on everybody. And he's this power agent guy. The scene when he's in his office and Babs comes in when he couldn't fire Rob, and he's sitting there and he sees, the picture of him and Vinny on his desk. And he has a moment of weakness there, and he tears up a little bit. I know that scene has to set up him, coming full circle and getting his balls back later on. But I don't like seeing Ari down, man.
It's tough look for the guy. I mean, he's such an alpha in that office, and Babs is an alpha too, which I kind of love, and she just pushes him to the brink. And Jeremy Piven won 3 Emmys for this role. He's a great actor. Watching him struggle with the tears and just scream at her to get the fuck out as he's like fighting back tears.
What the fuck was that, Ari?
Shot at redemption, Babs. You ever hear of it?
Not when I'm paying for the sins. You were supposed to fire him, not become his seeing fucking eye dog.
Partnership agreement states that we both have to agree on a dismissal. I don't agree.
What the fuck is going on with you, Ari?
Nothing.
You're not you. You're soft and weak and nice. It's disgusting. You really want the word to spread around town that you're a pussy? Are you crying?
Yeah, I'm fucking crying. Get out of here, Babs. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Lloyd, get Dr. Marcus on the phone. Tell her it's an emergency.
Yeah, I like Ari Gold with the cell phone in each hand, and he's going in on somebody with the
definitely
look on his face. That's my Ari.
In a similar vein, my least favorite moment was just Vince and E just being kind of emasculated by Amanda the whole episode. Like, just kind of going where she says, doing what she does. Like, she's literally yelling at them in the office, and they have, like, their hands between their knees, and they're, like, staring down at their feet. Like she's a school teacher or something.
Yeah, like kids in the principal's office. They got in trouble, and she's just going in on them.
I know. So that was a little weird, and it really clearly highlighted to me, like, I think Vinny has some mommy issues. At one point at dinner, he's like, I really didn't want to disappoint you. Like, you were so excited, and I don't...
Why I'm getting angry now, I'm sorry, why I'm getting frustrated now is because my client told me that he loved it, had me set in motion plans to put him in it, and then pulled back at the last second. So if not Ari, then why? Why did you tell me you love it?
It's because you loved it so much.
Okay.
And because you're so passionate when you sold it.
Okay.
And because I didn't want to disappoint you.
Obviously, it's just because he wants to fuck her, but, like, there's some things that he says that could just be misconstrued as, like, he wanted her, like, approval and loyalty, which was interesting. Maybe I'm looking too close into this because I'm talking about this fucking show.
Did they ever go into that storyline? at all throughout the series about his relationship with his mom? I mean, I think she was a part of the storyline for a little bit, but I can't remember exactly their relationship they had.
Yeah. In the season 2 premiere, he flies her out when he walks the red carpet for Aquaman.
Yeah.
And then in the season 6 finale, they go stay at her house in Queens, and she plays a small part too. But I don't think he really has mommy issues. It just seemed like in this scene or in this episode, he was just kind of acting like it.
Yeah.
All right, so Entourage is super quotable, Dillon. Any quotes jump out at you? There's some pretty good ones in this episode. We already talked about the rant that Ari goes on at the end of town saying, is this where we want to, I guess we can talk a little bit about his get the fuck out thing. It's just been done to death.
That one stands out the most, of course. But my favorite one, actually, you mentioned it earlier, was it was the first line of his monologue in the counseling session when he says, "I didn't go to the Lakers game because they were playing the fucking Bobcats." I mean, yeah, that's just so that, yeah, of course. Like if you, I mean, no one wants to see the Charlotte Bobcats, who are actually no longer the Charlotte Bobcats. So they're the Hornets, and that actually comes up later. And there's a question about outdated references, and I have that as my outdated reference.
Perfect. Yeah, there aren't a ton of outdated references.
Since I think like 2014 or something. They changed back to the Hornets. But yeah, that line was so good.
It's perfect because it's so male. No, of course I didn't go to the Lakers game. They're playing the fucking Bobcats. Who would want to do that?
I want to see a good fucking basketball game, not the fucking Bobcats.
Yeah. And, therapist and wife don't really understand it. And that's fine. But it's a great, it's a very relatable line.
And they're just sitting there. They have no response. They just let him go on. And when he leaves, they just kind of stare at each other. And finally his wife does say something, but they're like, yeah, well, that's Ari being Ari.
Definitely. I liked Lloyd running into the office with a power bar and a protein shake for Ari.
Protein shake and a power bar.
Not hungry, Lloyd.
The missus said you didn't eat dinner again last night.
Why do you two talk so much?
You like each other.
Just a nice little touch,
oh, man,
gives Lloyd more to do.
The Lloyd-Ari relationship is one of the best throughout TV history. I absolutely love those two. As much shit as he gives Lloyd throughout the entire series, he absolutely loves Lloyd. That's his boy.
Lloyd really wears it this season and next, and then seasons 5 and 6, which I'll be getting to in 2020.
He ends up for himself.
Yeah, he starts to kind of get a little wind under his wings, which is great to see. We've covered a lot of these, and then Barbara, when she's yelling at Ari, he's like, "You were supposed to fire him, not become his scene fucking eye dog," which I liked. I like the whole LASIK plot. Have you had eye surgery, or do you have perfect vision?
I'm 20/20, man. No glasses, no lenses, no anything.
You're a lucky son of a bitch. Because I got LASIK 3-4 years ago. I think I wrote about it for postgradproblems.com, a website you might be familiar with. And it was interesting because it's exactly like this. You have fucking bandages over your eyes for 4 or 5 hours, and then you're totally fine.
Yeah, he said they had to cut on his eye, and before LASIK was a laser procedure, they actually did have to take a blade to the eyeball and lift the flap up, and they would reshape the actual eyeball. So there's some historical accuracy to what he was saying. I don't know why he would have to get the old school version of the LASIK, but they actually did cut on the eyeball back in the day.
So they do it now with lasers, obviously, but what I thought was really interesting when I got it done is they handed me a teddy bear. And I'm like, what is this for? I don't need a teddy bear. I'm a grown-ass man. And they said, well, it's because the pressure on your eye is so uncomfortable. You need something to just squeeze and twist. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And they gave me a Valium, so I was kind of chilling. And as soon as they started the procedure, the actual laser on the eye, dude, it was so uncomfortable. I almost wrung that teddy bear's neck. I mean, obviously they did it to you for a reason, but I'll never forget that.
I might have to one day, but I'm thankful that I haven't gone through that quite yet.
Be thankful. Every week this is a new category. We talked about the biggest burn of the week. There's a lot of good turtle drama back and forth. People love to make fun of each other. There's a lot of busting balls. Anyone's jump out at you, Dillon, as being particularly funny?
This one, I mean, the Ari get the fuck out to Rob is obviously a big one. And he says, he precedes that by saying something like, and in case you can't hear or whatever, because he obviously went to the LASIK, in case you can't hear, get the fuck out, after writing it on the whiteboard there. I mean, it's an easy one. It's low-hanging fruit, but it's just an iconic scene in the show. And it's
definitely
Ari getting his balls back, man. And it's great to see.
Okay, I believe that is an L.
It is, in fact, an L.
You believe 6 hours ago I couldn't even read a stop sign? All right, test me again. I want to go smaller.
Smaller. All right.
Great work, Rob. Great work. See if you can read this. You're fired. And in case your ears are fucked, get the fuck out! And the next person I see juggling, tap dancing, or baton twirling, or doing any other circus-like tricks will join him, all right? One strike policy applies. Now get back to work! God damn, that felt good.
What happened to you?
Shock therapy, Babs. Skip it, Jenny.
Well, so we're on episode 3 of this, truncated season, and he's been kind of in a funk ever since Vince fired him, so it is good to see. Like, he kind of, like, sets things in motion in this episode, so I definitely agree. The second one is when he actually, in his moment of rage at his therapist on her golf course.
You shitty dime store therapist. A man's life is on the line here, and all you give a fuck about is beating some stupid club record that will do what for you? Give you 5 minutes of pleasure while you fuck your underpaid emasculated husband tonight? How the fuck does he afford this place anyway? Isn't he a guidance counselor at a high school?
Dude, that writing, I couldn't write a rant like that if you paid me $1 million.
Oh, it's genius. God. And look, she kind of is a shitty therapist. I mean, she sits in there and she's just like, his wife will say something like accusing him of something, and she's like, well, Ari, is this true? I don't know if that's how you handle a counseling session. You're supposed to be even-keeled and neutral and hear both sides out and not accusatory. And she kind of does suck.
Yeah, little behind the curtains, Doug Ellen, who created the show, has said, I think, and now I'm probably going to get a ton of Entourage fans in my DMs just correcting me on this one, but he has said that he was going through a divorce at the time and is writing based on personal experience, and I'm sure he felt in some way that he was being ganged up on in therapy. So maybe that's where it comes from. Oh yeah, and then his therapist is played by Nora Dunn. Do you know who Nora Dunn is?
I'm not familiar, no.
Saturday Night Live cast member from the 80s. She was in the same cast as John Lovitz.
That's right, yeah.
Dennis Miller, Al Franken. Very funny. She was on the show for 5 years. It wasn't considered like the best years of SNL, and she hasn't done much since, but good to see her getting work.
She's aged pretty well.
Yeah.
Because she looks like she should look a lot worse than she does, considering
definitely
on the show.
So we talked about this before we recorded. The music in this episode, not super like standoutish. Every week we update a playlist. It's in the show notes of the episode. It's a Spotify playlist. It's called Oh Yeah Music. So every week we talked about the music in the episode, and I don't know, not a ton of songs jumped out at me. The first time Ari walks into the office to fire Rob, Rock the Mic by Beanie Siegel and Freeway is playing.
Ari.
On it.
When?
Right now, but I know you like to watch, Babs, so come on in if you want a thrill. Hey, Rob.
Hey, there he is.
Okay.
Which was like, I don't know, it was like an early 2000s hip-hop song, which was cool, but that's about it for me. I know you mentioned nothing really stood out for you. There was a Black Keys song that played at the beginning. That's about it.
Yeah, nothing jumped out to me at all. Accurate.
Do you want to talk about Brian Callen a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Brian Callen, I guess, would be our best celebrity cameo from the episode. Like, we've talked about him before. He was kind of a faces in the crowd. Oh, who is that guy? But, he's a comedian who was on the original cast of Mad TV. He's currently the co-host of the Fighter and the Kid podcast, which is super fucking popular. He's got 3 stand-up comedy specials. He was in The Hangover, Old School. It's just really interesting to see like a skinny Brian Callen collecting like a weekly paycheck on Entourage for a few episodes.
Yeah, he was good, and Mad TV. I was trying to place him. I've seen him before so many times. I couldn't remember what he was from, but that makes a lot of sense. And he's been in. Like I said, I've seen him once before. I know he's been in comedies here and there, just kind of all over the place. But he did really. Another guy that I noticed, and I know you're a comic, so you probably know who this guy is, but he's one of the identical twins.
Yep.
What's that guy's name? He was actually writing on the whiteboard before Ari comes into the conference room.
Yeah, Jason Sklar. He's one of the Sklar brothers.
That's right. Those guys are funny as shit, man. I saw that guy. I don't remember him being in many other episodes of Entourage. Is he a recurring guy?
So he is like always in the background at the Miller Gold Agency, and then later they introduce his twin brother, and I can't remember what names they give them, but there's a famous episode where the one brother sleeps with the other brother's wife, and it's all happening on the day that so it's like the episode where Mary J. Blige is coming into the office and Ari's like, I can't deal with this right now, you two twin fuckers are screwing up my day. So they do have like a one episode run where they're like a little bit more the main cast, but
Gotcha.
For the most part they're in the background.
Yeah, I didn't recall seeing him before, and so when I spotted him in that scene, I was like, oh yeah, I know who that guy is. He's got a twin brother and they do comedy.
Oh, yeah, dude. They were on all those ESPN classic shows, and they had a couple comedy specials. They were on those VH1 shows back in the day. They've been working comics for 20 years.
Yeah.
Any references made in this episode that seemed a little outdated to you? This episode really aged pretty well, which we'll get to, but I don't really have any outside of now she's fucking the guy from the Chili Peppers, which is what Rob Rubino says to Ari. Like, Chili Peppers, a little outdated at this point. That doesn't have as much cachet, but did you have any?
Yeah, and he also says something about his ex creating a clothing line that had a big J on the ass, which I think was a reference to Juicy Couture.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe I'm completely off there.
Ari, Carrie left me.
She did? When?
About 3 months ago. I haven't told anybody, but that's why my work has been off. Look, Ari, just try to understand what I'm dealing with here, When she left, I felt like somebody pulled the rug from under me. I met her, she had nothing, and she designs this pair of terry cloth sweatpants. She puts a J on the ass, and she's worth $50 million. And now she's fucking the guy from the Chili Peppers. It hurts so much inside.
Don't fucking cry, Rob.
I can't cry, Ari. My tear ducts will be permanently fucked if I do.
Every week, Dylan, we give a sixth man award. So someone who just comes off the bench, lights up their scenes, hits a couple threes, figuratively speaking. Well, any one person in this episode this week do that for you?
Not really. Rob Rubino's character, for me, would have to win this award for this episode.
Yeah.
Just he's just funny, and I love how innocent he was able to portray himself in the conference room. Like, oh, that's an L. He's getting his eyesight back, and he's all excited. And, it's just kind of like a pure moment. He's just, just another employee, happy-go-lucky before, Ari drops a bomb on him. But I thought he did a good job.
Definitely. When he's initially kind of opening up to Ari, he's like, it just hurts inside. And Ari goes, don't fucking cry, Rob. And he goes, I can't cry, Ari. My tear ducts will be permanently fucked.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did a good job in this episode.
Yeah, I'd give it to Brian Talon. I might give her like a special honorary, like Nora Dunn as the therapist. Like, she's busting Ari's balls the whole time, but she does a good job of like being a good foil for him this episode, I guess.
She had a line about giving her friend's husband a blowjob when she said,
yes,
keep off for that part 3 when Ari pulled up.
If I birdie this hole, I get to blow your husband, Jane.
If he's okay with it, so am I.
Oh, this guy's got his head up his ass.
Hold on. I just need a word.
Ari!
Johnny Drama moments. We haven't dedicated enough time to talking about him this episode because he's kind of relegated to the sidelines. Like, doesn't do a ton. I mean, was there any moments or lines that you really liked from Drama?
Gosh, I was talking to you before we started recording, and when this episode ended, I made the mistake of continuing on, and I watched like the first, 5-10 minutes of the next episode. And so the moment I had in my head, and I actually wrote it down, was actually from the next episode. I kind of just merged them together in my brain.
It's all good.
But that moment is when he's talking about his upcoming show that's about to air, and we're having lunch somewhere in some sidewalk cafe or something, and he looked over his shoulder and there's the billboard of him up there. I was like, oh, that's so Johnny Drama. I love.
Oh, he loves it.
But from the episode we're actually supposed to be talking about, Nothing comes to mind because I was dead set on nailing that one, man.
It's all good, bro. For the listeners, we got on and I was like, "You ready to go?" And Dillon goes, "Yeah, I'm just talking about Pauly Shore right now." And I was like, "Wait a second, that's next week's episode. Did you watch this week's episode?"
Yeah, I made the mistake of continuing on. It's been so long since I've seen this show. I mean, last time I watched this show, I watched the movie recently, but the show itself, it's been years. So I watched this episode, just kind of a one-off,
Yeah.
But it just brought back some good times, and I just decided to keep watching. And I got out 10 minutes, and I was like, man, I probably shouldn't do this because they're starting to merge together in my brain. And here we go. It actually caused a real problem on the pod.
Did it feel like revisiting an old friend, though? That's what it feels like to me. Like, it's very comforting watching the show.
It was nostalgic. And yeah, you're right. It was comforting, man. It like I said, when I watched it, it was just such a fun, easy watch. And it just like a feel-good TV show. And those feelings came back a little bit.
It's the whole reason this podcast exists. So, yeah. Nothing doing for Johnny Drama this episode. Literally in this episode, he is golfing, he's swimming, he's playing pool. He's just like chilling this whole episode. So not any iconic moments. Next week, Gotcha, episode 4 of season 3B is kind of one of those memorable episodes. We'll get to that next Monday, but we're rounding the bend here, Dillon. 3 questions left. Okay. Who besides Vince won the episode? Because Vince can't win. He's the A-list movie star. He wins every week. So who besides him maybe like won?
I put down Ari. Because he got his balls back. Well, first we had the counseling session, which he just one of his all time, he just went off on his wife and the counselor. But so there was that scene. But then he was just kind of down and out and lost his way, and he was being nice to people, which is so un-Ari. Yep. And he got his balls back, man. He had like we said, the emergency counseling session out on the golf course. And he was so excited to run in there and fire Rob. Yeah, man, Ari won for me big time.
I definitely agree with you. Like I mentioned, he's been on the sidelines the past 3 episodes. He's been in a funk. So the get the fuck out, just the physicality, that was Ari getting his groove back, if you may.
And then he leaves that conference room, and some lady is walking through the hallway eating a protein bar or something. And he says something like, "Not today."
Skip it, Jenny.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't make it on air in 2019, but it was still a funny moment. Still made me laugh.
Yeah, for sure.
Was this an A-list Entourage episode, a B-list episode, or a D-list episode, Dillon?
I have down between a B and an A.
Oh, great, yeah.
There are other episodes I probably like more, but this was a really good one for me. Ari being Ari,
it's strong. It's like really light.
We'll get it an A-.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I did B plus. That's because I'm harder on the show because I do this every week. But
did you say B plus or D plus?
B plus.
Okay, good.
Yeah, definitely. No, D plus. I gave a D to last week's episode, which people who listened know I wasn't a big fan of it. But this episode is light. It is fun. It's got some great Ari moments. It doesn't try to do too much. And like the worst thing that happens is like Vince and E get like yelled at by Amanda. Like, okay, it's totally fine. Yeah, this is we're coming around the bend here to the end of season 3, and we get into the Medellin stuff, and things get a little murky for the next couple episodes.
Man,
but
I don't like the Medellin phase of this show.
It lasts too long.
It lasts too long, but like Vince just is not the real Vince like we all are used to seeing. I don't know, man. It's not for me.
Last question. I asked it of all my new guests. I asked it of Will. I asked it of Dave. What character in the Entourage are you closest to in real life, Dillon?
All right, before I answer this, what did Will and Dave say?
Will said that he was E.
Okay.
And Dave said that he was Johnny Drama. And they said that you're Vince. And
okay.
And I said that Mike is Turtle.
Because okay. I see those guys every day. I work with them. They're my boys. They're my partners. So it makes sense that those answers make a lot of sense. So that helps me reveal my answer because I felt like a pompous asshole saying I'm probably Vinny Chase.
Oh my God!
But there's not an easy way to say that because he's the movie star. He's the guy.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense.
It
I'm gonna
totally
get
makes
roasted
sense.
for this, I'm sure, but it kind of makes sense because we're a team. We're together all the time, and not to say I'm like the standout movie star of the
Sure.
three of us, but if I were to assign myself, a role in that trio or that, then yeah, Vinny.
All right, so within the context of the circling back crew, you are agreeing that you're the Vinny because
I mean, if we have to assign Vinny to somebody, is what I'm saying. Then
yeah.
I guess I will take on that role as Vinny.
All right. All right. I appreciate
Yeah.
your honesty. I was
Yeah.
just about to roast you a little bit because
Roast away. I deserve it. Anyone who answers Vinny to that question deserves to get some pushback. So I understand.
we've had 40 episodes of this podcast, and I've had big time comedians come on who have followings, who have their own Comedy Central half-hour specials, who, I've had people that work in Hollywood that have not been able to say that they're Vinny when they're so clearly Vinny to their group of friends.
Okay, but you got to understand that after hearing Will and Dave's answer,
yes,
it kind of makes a little bit of sense. It makes the most sense. I can't.
I know, dude. It's fine. I'm not trying to give you too much shit here. They teed it up that way.
I deserve some ridicule for this one, so I don't fault you for it.
Dylan, this has been a blast, man. Thanks for joining.
I had fun, man.
Yeah, good to walk down memory lane. Are you gonna keep watching Entourage in like your evenings and stuff like that from here on out?
Like I said, I started watching just for the fun of it before, so then I had to turn it off. I had to make myself turn it off. So yeah, I might get back into it. Who knows? It was such a fun show to watch.
HBO ought to pay me royalties for what I'm doing to the show. I mean, that's what I gotta say. Where can the listeners of Oh Yeah follow you, find you, listen to you?
Yeah, if you would like to follow me, check me out on Instagram and Twitter at DCheverere. That's DCheverere. But most importantly, check out our podcast. It's called Circling Back. And as we talked about with the aforementioned Will and Dave, those guys are the other star of that show. But we do we have a lot of fun. It's a good podcast. So go check it out.
As I've mentioned, Will, Dave, Dillon, great friends of Oh Yeah. Known these guys for a long time, and they're doing fantastic work down in Austin, Texas. So I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. Follow these guys and check out what they're doing because it's some innovative, funny, interesting stuff. And Dillon, this was a blast, man. Thank you so much for joining.
You're the man. That's nice of you to say. I appreciate that.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Thank you.